Hey yogis, welcome to my channel. My name is Kassandra and today I wanted to film a bit more of a personal video. You guys have been asking me to do more vlogs, which I am happy to do, and I kind of just wanted to talk about injuries today. As most of you know, a couple of months ago I suffered a trip and fall accident while running with my dog, or my puppy. We had just gotten Luna. She was just a couple months old, and I went for a walk with her, went running, and she kind of tripped me by accident, and I ended up falling pretty badly on my knee as well as on my hand. And I ended up having a bone bruise on my right knee as well as a partial ACL tear, and then also a bone bruise on my thumb and a little bit of ligament damage as well. I just wanted to share lessons learned so that if you are currently going through an injury, hopefully this can give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of hope, and maybe we can just have a really honest discussion about what it's like, because I feel like people don't really talk about their injuries, especially when they are yoga teachers or other health and wellness professionals. There is such a huge amount of pressure for us to always be healthy, for us to always be able-bodied, and for us to be just super flexible and super strong and always performing at 100%. And when we can't, it can be very difficult to cope with. And really, I'm generalizing, but this is how I felt. So I have my notebook in front of me just because I don't want to forget anything, but here are the top lessons learned from my injury. Lesson number one: I can take time off and it will not negatively affect my work. I've been on YouTube for 4.5 years or so now, and I have never taken a break. I've been producing content every single week. I've been very consistent with it, and even when I've gone on vacation and when I've been on retreats, I still work all of the time, either on my laptop or I'm filming or I'm planning things in advance. And I really had this notion and this pressure on myself that if I step away for even a minute, people will lose interest in me and they'll forget about me, and I'll lose my audience on YouTube, and my career will go to the toilet, and I'll lose everything that I've worked so hard to build. So this was a big fear that I had, and honestly, it just made my injury feel so much worse, because on top of being worried about, of course, my physical health and whether or not I would recover, I was also putting all of this pressure and anxiety on myself, because now I worried that I would lose my YouTube channel or lose my subscribers, or that I would suffer financially. And I'm so happy to say that the opposite is true. You guys were more than supportive when I did suffer this injury, and I realized how much this fear was completely self-imposed. There's no reason for me to believe that I can't leave for a couple weeks, that I can't take a little bit of time off. Everyone should take some time off from time to time. So if you're also a teacher and you need to take time off because of your injury, if you are worried that if you do this, you're gonna lose your classes, you lose your time slots, that your students are gonna forget about you, it's such an irrational fear to have. Most likely, people are loyal to you. What I realized was that you guys are amazing and you really care about me and you want to learn from me, and you are willing to wait for me to get back on my feet, heal up again until I am ready and willing to put together some content when it's right for me to do so. So I am extremely grateful for you guys for being so supportive and so patient and helping me learn this lesson, that it's okay and it's actually good for me to take a break from time to time. So really, thank you so much for that. I would say the second lesson I really learned from this is that slowing down is not what I wanted, but it is exactly what I needed. Kind of like what I touched on the first point, I hadn't really taken any time off. When you're running your own business, you know, at first I started this business when I had a full-time job. I was working like a crazy person, juggling so many different things, and then I worked to being completely self-employed and running this on my own, and I felt kind of like a hamster caught on a wheel, and I didn't want to slow down. I didn't want it, and I also really didn't think I needed it. So it's not like I was always telling myself like, oh boy, if only I could have a break. I really didn't think I needed a break. I didn't think I was at risk for burning out. I thought I had things completely under control, and it wasn't until I was forced to take time out that I realized like, oh my God, I should have done this a long time ago. And now I know that moving forward, every year, I need to take a good 3 to 4 weeks away from YouTube, away from social media. And it's amazing what slowing down can do to you. I found myself getting replenished with ideas. Sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I've done every yoga class in the world. I have no idea what to do on YouTube. And those 3 to 4 weeks that I took to myself gave me such a new perspective, gave me such a better idea of what I want for my YouTube channel, what I want for Yoga with Kassandra in general. And I found myself being flooded with new ideas. It was amazing. So by slowing down and doing nothing, when I came back, I was able to actually produce more without necessarily working more. I always had the assumption that if I stop for a while, I'm going to have to recoup those hours and kind of work overtime when I am back to go back to YouTube and when I am back to the daily grind of my job and what it is that I do. And that really wasn't the case. I was able to come back into a pretty manageable work schedule, yet I was more alert, more productive, and so much more efficient. So if you tend to be a workaholic like me, I absolutely am a workaholic, know that you probably don't want to slow down, but you might need to slow down. And it's kind of like that cliche of like, you know, you might not want to, but the universe is going to force it onto you, whether you want it or not. So if it does happen to you, you might as well embrace it. And I'm so happy that I did over time manage to embrace doing nothing and slowing down. And it was actually kind of hard for me to get back into the swing of things because I was so used to taking it easy and not worrying about work and admin stuff and filming that I was actually enjoying myself by the end of it, which I never ever thought in a million years I would enjoy time off. I usually like to keep busy, but now I know I need to slow down. I need to pause from time to time, and maybe you need to as well. Third lesson I learned is an important one. I learned who my friends are. Being seriously injured and not being able to drive yourself places or to really leave your house or cook for yourself or do all of the things that I'm so used to doing really brings out the best and the worst in others. So I'm so lucky. My partner Anthony just totally stepped up his game. For 4 weeks, he did all the cooking, all the cleaning, took care of our new puppy that we had just gotten, took care of me. It was amazing, and I really learned to rely on him. And I also had so many close friends kind of step up to the game. I couldn't go out to them, so they would just come to my house to keep me company because I was so depressed, just sitting on the couch for 12 hours a day. It was brutal. It was so depressing. And I also noticed that some friends who I thought were close kind of didn't care and didn't really go out of their way and really were kind of selfish friends in the sense that they're great friends as long as I put the work into seeing them. And if they have to do the work, all of a sudden they're busy or they're nowhere to be found. So that was not necessarily a fun lesson to learn, but it was definitely an interesting one and one that has shifted the way I view my relationships for better or worse. I can now say that I greatly cherish those people who stepped up their game and showed that they're here for me. And these are people not necessarily who even live in the area, but I'm talking even of other YouTubers who reached out, people I've never met who've reached out and who've gone above and beyond to make me feel loved and supported and heard through what was a really difficult time for me. So these difficult times really do show you who your support system really is, and they help you weed out the people who are the fair weather friends. So that was very useful, although also a little painful, I have to admit. Fourth lesson I learned is that I am an eternal optimist and you cannot get me down for too long. I'm not gonna lie, I had some really low points where I didn't know how I would recover, if I would recover, if I would ever be able to do yoga again, let alone teach it. But throughout all of those really depressing, dark, strange times, I still retained my optimism. I believe optimism is something that you can learn, but to be honest, I kind of have always been like this. It's just part of my character to be cheerful and happy and optimistic and to look on the bright side of things. And I am so thankful for that part of my personality because it really got me through some of the hard times. So this is kind of just a lesson that I'm happy to have learned on my end, is that when things get really tough, I'm still able to look on the bright side. I'm still able to remind myself that, you know, the sun will rise again tomorrow, that this too shall pass. You know, the highest highs of your life come to an end at some point, but this also means that the lowest lows also come to an end. It's all a cycle. So even in those darkest moments, I was able to hold on to that sliver of hope that one day I truly believe that I will be okay. It might not be the same level of okay as I was used to having before, prior to the injury, but it will be okay nonetheless. I will make it work no matter what. And that, I think, is what got me through, what kept me going. And I do think that optimism and having a positive outlook and positive belief does facilitate and help with your feeling. This is just my personal view on things. Maybe because I'm a positive person, I believe in that. I don't know. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg scenario, but I really do believe that my positive outlook on life and the positive outlook on my injury helped me to recover and helped me to heal, mainly because it helped me to actually do the work every single day. I had a lot of therapy to do, physical therapy and rehab therapy. And if I had been very discouraged and depressed and negative, I might have not given it my all when it comes to rehab. So I'm an eternal optimist and I'm super thankful about it. The next lesson is a little bit controversial. What I learned is that sometimes my body does not know best. Sometimes my intuition is wrong. And sometimes I have to rely on what the experts say rather than what my body says. So let me explain this a little bit further, because I'm a huge advocate of listening to your body, especially in yin yoga. I'm always encouraging you guys to listen to your body first and to not push yourselves and to find your edge, but never go past it. When I was injured, that philosophy really got flipped upside down, and it was really hard for me to reconcile it. So when I was injured for that first 2 weeks, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't bend my knee at all. It was in this big leg brace. I was on crutches and I had a hard time walking. I couldn't really do anything. And I went to my amazing, amazing athletic therapist. Her name is Jess Keller. If you're in Ottawa, it's Keller Active Health. I highly recommend them. They're amazing. So I booked an appointment with my athletic therapist, Jess, and she had me do things that I did not want to do. She had me bend my knee even though I was screaming and crying in pain. She had to do this deep fascial release work. I forget what it was called. I think it was called skin rolling, because the fascia, everything around my knee up into my quads and down into the calf, had become so stiff and stuck. To just bend a tiny little bit, or to just put a tiny little bit of pressure on my quads, on my knee, was excruciating. But I had to do that in order to regain mobility in my knee. Rehab hurts. Anyone who's ever been in a serious accident and a serious injury knows that it can be really difficult to rehabilitate yourself and to do the exercises that you're being told to do by your doctor, by your therapist, by your physiotherapist or massage therapist, really whoever it is that you're working with. So that was difficult for me because my body was telling me, don't move, do nothing, be still. But if I had continued to do nothing and be still, I would be so worse off than I am today. I would have done so much damage to myself. I really needed to just tune myself out, not listen to my body as much, and to instead listen to the experts who have dealt with this time and time again. And I went twice a week. For many, many weeks, I cried every time. It was difficult every time. I did not want to go, but I made myself go, and I have healed so fast. It's blown my doctors away. I've really surpassed what people said I would be able to do, but had I only listened to my body, it would not have been enough. Sometimes you need to put yourself aside and listen to the people who truly want the best for you. I had to kind of let go and trust that it's going to be painful, but it's going to be purposeful. There's a reason for this pain, and there's also an end in sight. Every time I would go, it would become less and less painful. And every time I would go, I would regain more strength, more mobility, and I would have less pain in the long run. So the hour-long session was excruciating, but then for the rest of the day and the days that followed, I felt so much better and I was able to actually sleep at night. So really, this is what I've learned. Now that I'm back to being kind of fully healed, I do listen to my body and I do find my edge and I do go back to listening to my body's innate wisdom. However, sometimes I do actually have to push myself a little bit more. So this is a lesson I never thought I would learn. It was really difficult for me to reconcile it, but at the end of the day, I'm so glad I got out of my own way and just learn to trust other people. It's hard to trust other people sometimes, especially when it's something as intimate as your physical body. And when your body revolves around your work, it was so challenging. But that's probably, I think, the best thing I did to help my rehabilitation. So if you are injured, make sure you surround yourself with a team that you trust and that truly knows what they're doing and has your best interest at heart. If it really truly feels wrong, of course, don't do it, but let them push you just a little bit. They know what they're doing if, of course, they are qualified and if they have their best interest or your best interest at heart. So that was difficult, but definitely one of the best things I did for myself. Final lesson I learned from my injury is that there is no going back. And here's what I mean about that. I have had to accept that even if my knee is fully healed, even if my thumb fully heals, I will never go back to what I was pre-injury. It's kind of like women when they talk about, you know, like their bodies before having a baby and after having a baby. Like, yes, you might lose the weight and you might kind of look the same as you did before having a baby, but your body never actually goes back because you have gone through an experience that has changed you, and that's okay. It's okay to be at a new normal. You will define what this new level of normal and what this new level of optimal health looks like. Putting pressure on yourself to go back to exactly the performance and the level and the looks that you had before your injury or before any kind of traumatic experience is just going to cause yourself pain and suffering. The more you can let things go and focus on the present moment and looking towards the future and finding your new normal, the easier this process is going to be for you. For a long time, I thought, oh, it's fine, you know, my knee is just going to go back to the way it was before. But now I've come to a place where I accept that actually, I might always have a little bit of knee issues. Even if it heals fully and I can do everything I did before, I know now that because I've hurt my knee once, I'm more susceptible to further knee pain down the road. I'm always going to have to be careful with my knee. I'm always going to have to be careful with my thumb. And actually this thumb is something I had injured 4.5 years ago or so. So I've made it worse, you know, with this new injury. So I know that I'm now going to have a new normal. Maybe I won't be able to do a 1-minute handstand like I used to be able to do before. I don't quite know yet just because I'm not fully healed. So I'm not sure what this new normal is going to be for me. But I don't want to put on myself all these expectations that I'm going to be exactly like I was a year ago. You know, it's just not realistic. We all get older, we all grow up, we all change, our bodies change. Trying to hold on to the past is never going to serve you well. So if you can, try to be okay with the fact that your body is different. And you know what? Next year, it might be even more different. And in a decade, you'll have to deal with a whole new set of changes in your body. We are all getting older. We are all going through these changes. This is your yoga practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment to the physical self. Yes, you can put all of your love and your effort into caring for this beautiful physical body that you have, but let go of the expectations that it will always stay the same. And this might mean that you have to grieve a little bit. I'm not fully healed, so I'm not completely sure what this new yoga body is going to look like. I don't know if I'll be able to do everything that I used to be able to. I know that if I can't do a handstand ever again, I know that's going to be really hard for me. I'm gonna have to grieve that. Just, as superficial as that might sound to you, I know it's kind of dumb, so what if I can't do a handstand? But that was a big accomplishment for me, and that was something that I really enjoyed. But I am going to have to grieve that loss if I'm not able to do it in the future. I might have to learn to be okay with this new me, and I'm more than willing to do that process. I'm more than willing to let things go and to just accept myself as I am in the present moment, because again, in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, well, probably not 50 years, but I'm probably going to have to do this process for the rest of my life, letting go of who you were before. It doesn't matter, because you're not that person anymore. Whatever has happened to you in your life has made you turn into this new you. So you might as well embrace it while you have it, because even as we speak, even today, your body is changing. We are all always changing. So there is no going back, and that's okay. Love who you are right now. So that's it for me and the lessons that I've learned from the injury. I would love to know, what did you think of this video? What do you think of these lessons? Do you agree with them? And if you are injured or have been injured in the past, I would love to hear from you and know what your lessons learned are. I really believe that this is one area where we can all support each other, and we can all offer guidance and advice that comes from a place of compassion instead of advice that is judgmental. Let's try to refrain from that. But I really want the yoga world to start talking about injuries more transparently, because the truth is they happen all the time. And there is so much shame and stigma, especially as a yoga teacher, around being injured. And there's so much heaviness and pressure around always being our best self. We're not always our best self, okay? Sometimes we're down in the dumps, and sometimes we're injured, and sometimes things are really hard, and it's okay to talk about that too. So if you have made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I know I talk a lot. I am so sorry. I'm going to try to edit this video to make it as short and concise as I possibly can. But thank you for watching till the very end. Please share what you thought down in the comments below. I will definitely read them, and I will do my very best to respond to everyone. If you don't already subscribe to my channel, please do so. It's a wonderful way to support free yoga on the internet. Thank you so much, yogis. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Namaste.